What did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest? This was in college. We were acquaintances and had a few classes together. He was cute, funny, and I totally had a crush on him. He asked me out to dinner and a movie. At the restaurant he ordered the most expensive things on the menu. Apps, drinks, lobster, and even dessert. When the bill came he said, "You got this, right?" I was so embarrassed I paid. Then I said I'd skip the movie because I wasn't feeling well and he asked me to give him $20 for gas and for wasting his time. I didn't and just left. Ugh. After that he couldn't seem to understand why I didn't want to go out with him again. I was giving her a place to sleep when she was feuding with her mother. After weeks of picking up after her, I dared to complain. She had a screaming fit, packed up her crap and left. I was glad to be rid of her. Until later it got around to me that she was telling people on FB that I kicked her out for refusing to give me a blowjob. There is a lot I can forgive, but that was the first time I had ever had anyone just straight up make stuff up about me. FCKU. A. Huh? Why are you leaving a tip? Me. Because the service was really good? Huh? But she's fat. Bragged about drinking and driving. He told me that he and his friends have a nothing under 100 club, where they drink and then drive on the interstate going 100 plus mph and have to send a full-length Snapchat video of the speedometer to each other. 2 of my friends had been killed by a drunk driver 3 months prior. Revealed his list of conquests. Not even my brother knows how many women I've slept with. Then he offered to take my virginity in the back of his pickup truck. I passed. I'm black. She's black. Our crush was mutual. Then she found out that I was once in a relationship with a white woman. She then jumped down a rabbit's hole of my betrayal of the black family and some other nonsense of my trauma of self-hatred. Never been turned off by anything faster than that. He talked about how he and his friends used to abuse farm cats. They talked about one that was buried and then run over. I did a quick 180 and absolutely hated him. Edit. Little late now. But thank you everyone for the upvotes. Unfortunately I only heard about the abuse when he was talking to someone else. And it wasn't a recent thing. Think high school. And at this point he was a few years into college. I also live in Farmtown, USA. So this really isn't an uncommon thing. And I doubt the cops would do anything. I'm glad to see so many caring people on here. Though, cats don't get as much love in my community as they should. Our 3 are here living in spoiled royalty. And my dad hates it. She asked if things didn't work out if I would mind if she went out with my roommate. I said I couldn't possibly do that to him and left. He tried to discreetly take photos of my feet. Nothing against people who are into that. But the way he was going about it was super creepy. She asked me if I was good with kids because she was pregnant with her ex and that she's not good with kids. It was the first date. We were teenagers. He lived in a different province. And we used to chat on Skype. He wanted me to think he was a badass or something and would always talk about his drug use. He ended up faking a heroin overdose when we were on chat together. I was hysterically crying and freaking out thinking I was watching someone dying and was trying to figure out how to call 911 in another province when he snapped out of it and told me he was actually okay. I didn't talk to him much after that. Stole from a homeless person. We were walking together downtown and she saw a bucket of coins in front of a pharmacy. She just scooped it all up and kept walking. Guy comes out as she's 20 feet away or so and yells at her. She keeps moving. I stood there and just gave him a $20 and didn't hang out with her anymore. We were 14 and 15. She said I smile too much. FCKU. I smile when I want to. I try to find joy. Kept arranging times to talk and whatnot. Bullied the quiet kid in our class. Turned out to be the person eating everyone else's food from the break room fridge. His sister actually approached me and let me know that he was once arrested for locking their other pregnant sister in their basement. Went on a coke binge while she desperately tried to get out. And went outside to beat their unsuspecting neighbor's van with a golf club. That was a big ol' nope. Sister's a legend BTW. Edit. Thank you all for the cake day messages. Kissed me and then, after he pulled away, told me he has a girlfriend. Yee. I don't get washing. Placed the tip on the table before we'd received service. Before using it as a threat. Had a crush on this girl back in high school. She seemed like a sweet girl. After she rejected me I let it go but still was interested in maintaining some sort of friendship. Found out she was actually pretty toxic behind my back. She made fun of me for a lot of things that really didn't matter, like hand motions while talking, and I just lost interest in her entirely. Even in a friendship. This was years ago. On a first date, tried to convince me to quit my job and put all my savings into gold bars. Then demanded I let him read my tarot cards to see if we'd be a good fit. Nope nope nope. Huge crush on a fellow uni student. I was invited over for what I expected to be a platonic study date, but hey. Any time spent is better than just being alone. Or so I thought. Got there and found another student from class also. Okay. Study group? Turns out her mom and her set us up for a full press MLM pitch. Video. Literature. The works. I stayed a bit not to be rude. Excused myself shortly. And only talked to her in class just in passing from then on. Huge letdown. Edit. MLM means multi-level marketing. Aka a pyramid scheme. Signing up to both buy and sell something. While recruiting others to sell also. You get a percent of all of your recruits' sales also. All the percentages basically flow upward. So the only way to make any significant money is to be high in the tree, towards the top of the pyramid. It's all bullshit. Basically. Told me he was only being nice to me because he was interested in a friend of mine. I see his Facebook posts now. He is dumber than a box of rocks on a treadmill. I'm not sure why the box of rocks on the treadmill is dumber than the box of rocks not on a treadmill. But I accept the metaphor. Talk non-stop about himself and his accomplishments and never asked me one question about myself. She slept with my dad. I would say Mothefka but the term doesn't work here. She got blackout drunk at a party and violently shat her pants. Litted. That's so trashy. When I was a teenager we worked together as lifeguards. I adored him so much until one day he just starts talking about this random woman that he didn't know and wasn't even there that was wearing shorts. He said he was fine until she sat down and had some cellulite on her thighs. And he kept being angry and talking about how she should be doing squats to be more appealing. Like. His rant was angry and long and no one was adding to his conversation. Just silence. After that I took off my rose-colored glasses and saw that he was, in fact, a huge douchebag. I'm kinda grateful he showed himself that way. Cause I was really into him until then. Could have been a bad time for my teenage brain. Blamed the world for all his problems. Nothing was ever his fault. We worked together and as I got to know him more I learned he talked badly about everyone. Nurses that are amazing he'd belittle. Talk about how certain people don't know what they're doing because they asked for an ultrasound IV as they were struggling getting a vein on a heroin addict. Paramedics were worthless. Doctors don't know what they're doing. Who he thought was hooking up and it completely turned me off. He's in his early 40s and into gossip more than my teenage daughter. He picked me up for our first date and his car was disgusting. Not talking a few trash items. The entire backseat and floorboard was completely covered in piled up trash. Even up front. I had to step on empty McDonald's bags. Old soda bottles. Wrappers egg to even get in. And all he said was, just move it around with your feet. No sorry or anything. Made me feel like trash too. Like dang. Couldn't even clean up a little? But you're the Goblin Queen? Dumped me after 9 months because she wasn't ready for a serious relationship. Got into a relationship the next day and was married within 5 months. Told me that she didn't like me back anymore. But maybe if I waited long enough she would like me like that again. Edit. She told me that I had gotten more critical lately and I changed. So she wanted me to change back before she would be with me. Ugh. I hate this. You're not on airport. Too critical about every word I uttered under the name of sarcasm. Light the back fence of the school on fire to impress a mate. Edit. Basically shut me down and made it clear to me that I was being the typical nice guy cliche. This is back when I was about 20. After a couple of days of sulking, I started examining my behavior and realized she was absolutely right. Glad it happened. My ideas of how relationships should work were entirely twisted at the time. I got my shit together shortly after. Addressed my stupid and entitled behavior. Worked on myself, mentally and physically, and eventually met an amazing woman who is now my wife. Scary to look back and think how close I got to becoming one of those incel neckbud types. Told me he shot at turtles and 3 cats for fun. Edit. I'll kiss you but I'd never date you. FKU. Told me he liked dating broken girls so he could fix them. See ya later. Boner. Talked shitty about every woman in his life. Should have seen the red flags earlier. Didn't realize until later that he probably did the same to me. I was a midnight clerk at a truck stop. And very good looking man came in every night on his run to visit with me. He wore an ankle monitor for probation parole. I asked about it and he told me he was falsely accused of kissing his ex-wife's daughter. She was 13. I took his word. He seemed to be a real good guy. About 2 weeks later we were bullshitting and flirting. And a little girl about 12 years old came in with her dad. He looked that little girl up and down like a pervert. I was instantly sick to my stomach. She invited me over to her place, not as a date thing, but just to hang out as friends. Her house was absolutely filthy and the glass of Coke she gave me had a hair in it. She was really cute. Had a great personality. And was a genuinely nice person. Well, it turns out he wasn't interested in girls, so I knew I had to kill my feelings or feel stupid for keeping them. Said she was stirring up a group for LGBT youth. I asked her why. And then realized I had been barking up the wrong tree. I'm dumb. Told me I wasn't attractive and that she could never possibly like me. Game over. Dude was the perfect epitome of the term douchebag. He used to be nice to people only to gain their trust and then betray them. He was attractive though and a smooth talker as well. We started talking. Became friends and I developed a crush on him. Unfortunately, I never knew then what type of double-headed snake he was. Then on one day I witnessed him throwing his best friend under the bus just to save his reputation. Completely lost interest. Cut ties with him and he gave no shit about it. Only then did I realize how toxic people can be sometimes. Edit. Grammar. English isn't my first language. So when I read one day I witnessed him throwing his best friend under a bus, my brain didn't immediately register that it was a saying. I thought he actually murdered his friend. Kicked a dog. Edit. I don't understand any of the references in the comments. Started gaming with him and learned that he threw tantrums worthy of a toddler when losing matches. Threw my $2,000 laptop through my new big screen TV. We were going on a date and when we were just next to the cinema she found her friend and she went with her instead. She probably told her friend to come to have an excuse to leave your date mate. She physically shushed me in a group with her finger on my lips while I was singing along with my friends to a cover band. She ate a live snail. I was in 6th grade. She detested cats and insisted that I give up my furry buddy before she'd move in with me. It wasn't that she was allergic to cats. She issued the ultimatum because, according to her, My cat received too much of my time and affection. And she wasn't going to compete. Mayo, imagine laying awake at night knowing you lost to a cat. We played Monopoly. That game brings out the absolute worst in people. Overheard her insulting my hobbies. Clothes. Hairstyle. Personality etc. with her friends. Now I was never Prince Charming. But FCK me that hurt. Bouncer at a bar I used to go to. I had a mad crush on him. He was beautiful. He was a bit of a tart. Every night some starry-eyed equally beautiful woman would leave with him. Being a bit of a tart was not a deal breaker for me. I was too back then. If not as successful as him, as I'm not a super pretty girl. But one night I guess he left too late. The hot girls were gone and he informed me that he was willing to take me home that night. No. Nothing less SI than that'll do. Pig. Being treated like a sure thing, and of course the answer is gonna be yes, because how would someone like me turn down someone like him? Being obsessed with weird crazy conspiracy theories. Being over the age of 20 and having naked woman posted all over his bedroom wall like a teen. Having tons of PRN pics of naked woman saved to his computer and talking about how he'd love to punch and fight people, normally his friends or people he knew. Being rude to the waiter and complain that food is taking too long during dinner rush hour. I work in the industry for a year. It's not easy when being slammed during rush. She made me read her Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles erotica. Started dating my best friend after heavily flirting with me for a week. She offered to drive and picked me up in her car because we had plans to go out to dinner and get to know each other better. I realized after about 20 minutes she was not driving to the restaurant and instead stopped at a gas station to get into someone else's car and buy drugs. Basically made me accessory to a drug deal under false pretenses. My 18-year-old self thought it would be cute to invite him to a Christmas parade, but this dude had the audacity to ask me why I thought he would ever be interested in someone like me. Edit. Why my first 3k. I wish I could take you all to a Christmas parade. Also, I met my boyfriend just over a year ago and it has been the most wonderful surprise of my life. Girl in car behind him honked when the light turned green. He got out of the car and began screaming and banging on her windshield. That's when I knew he was a psycho and I needed to get out of that relationship. Took me a destroyed home and 2 restraining orders later, but we've been broken up for 3 years now. She brought a friend to dinner with us. Which was okay. I didn't mind. Then they both shoplifted afterward while I was on the other side of the store. Told her I didn't date thieves and she broke down apologizing. Chewed with her mouth open on our first date. I never thought something like that could kill my interest so rapidly. She talked about how she stalked her ex-boyfriend across multiple state lines. She wasn't a crush. But I just wanted to put this out there. This was a first date too. Treated me like shit for being the only female in our paintball team. He said that women belong to kitchen, not battlefield. Edit. I never, though the worst memory of my life will bring me the most karma out of everything I've ever posted. Thanks. I kinda hope he has read it and find it now. Edit 2. Guys. I made a mistake. He didn't say battlefield. We are Polish. He said something that cannot be translated perfectly. So I just captured the idea. The word battlefield is mine. I didn't know how to call it in English. Now I know it's a field. This was in preschool. But she put relish on her hot dog. Game over. I've since learned to love relish and always wonder what could have been. I was 21 and in college. He was a classmate of mine. He seemed so charming and was easy on the eyes. One day I overheard him talking to his friends about how he doesn't date engineer women because math is for men. Edit. Some people are missing the point here. It's not that he said he wouldn't want to date an engineer that bothered me. It's that he said that women aren't meant for math. We were sorta dating. But after we broke it off, She accused me of trying to RP her. Wasn't even the biggest flag. Picked me up for a first date and they cast all at a red light. They started sobbing uncontrollably and punching the steering wheel while apologizing over and over again. All they had to do was turn the key and keep driving. But this display of behavior was bizarre and unsettling to say the least.